All right, what's up, YouTube and Trench Pilgrims? Today we're going to be going over the new TC release that was dropped, I believe, yesterday, Friday, regarding the new faction, the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent. I did kind of a rough read through of it, and I'm pretty excited. We're going to try to get a playtest in hopefully next week, Thursday, maybe Wednesday, just kind of depending on timing and how long it takes us to get some new models together and maybe throw some paint at them. I love the first little stanza that they have here. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are here at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and in falsehood we have taken shelter. The New Syncretic Orthodox Bible. These guys are going to be entirely ruthless. Jutting from eternally belching plumes of stinking corrosive smoke is the iron city of Dis, and atop its shrieking black keep is the infernal war council. There sit 7 of the greatest and most wicked and most cunning of the archdevils, each representing one of the 7 mortal sins made manifest. They are the rulers of the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent, which oversees hell's war against creation on earth. Each is known as one of the heads of the serpent, and ultimately it is their commands that dictate all of the military forces of the Great War in the service of the infernal hierarchy. In the twisted, treacherous, and ever-shifting politics, rarely even the mightiest devils sit at the Great War Council of the court for long. Towering statues of the serpent heads, representing wrath, envy, pride, gluttony, greed, sloth, and lust, are erected in the iron city of Dis by slavering work gangs of yoke fiends, only to be torn down again and crushed into rubble as new devil lords rise to the pinnacle of power by trampling over their rivals. The hierarchy of the court is anything but stable. Only Mammon is said to have held the position of the serpent head of greed without almost a break for the duration of the entire Great War. Other positions have seen a bewildering parade of dukes, marquises, margraves, barons and baronesses, paramounts, princes, lords and ladies, and earls, and a myriad of other high nobles that make up the infernal hierarchy. This whirlwind of political glory, followed by utter ruin, is reflected as shifts of power amongst their mortal followers on earth. The council operates on a majority vote, and often at the thinnest of margins. It takes very little for an ambitious prince or priestess of hell to make so many enemies that they are disposed of and their wings torn, forced to start their ascent from the bottom once more, with the mockery of their rivals burning them like venom. Countless envious pretenders work against the heads of the serpent, seeking to replace them and gain the glory and prestige that comes with such a lofty position. The might of the demons also waxes and wanes based on how many mortal followers they can corrupt to their cause, and thus there is a constant change in which demon lords can don one of the 7 serpent-headed crowns. While Beelzebub is the most powerful devil lord of gluttony by far, the Lord of Flies scorns his rightful place at the court and wages his battle against creation through his black grail instead. This leaves his seat open to the lesser fallen angels, so that the lesser fallen angels can struggle for the honor of sitting at the hungry throne. Upon the commands of the court of the warbands of hell gather at the Hell Gate, they strike out the blight upon the unhappy world. Yoke fiends muster under the banners of their praetors and sorcerers. The shattered forms of the Hell Knight are forced into their suits of armor and then emerge from their fiery tombs where their bodies are kept crushed under mighty, ever-turning slabs of black basalt while they are not serving in the war effort. Desecrated saints are brought forth to act as unholy war altars that pollute and pervert the land which they travel over. Ahead of the warbands fly pit locusts, the clatter of their wings heralding the coming of the court, and their poison stings leaving burns that cannot be healed. Sometimes, when the deathly omens on hell's burning sky and the black stars are unfavorable, a hunter of the left-handed path will join a warband as they strike out the mouth of hell. As the warband marches to join the Great War, joyous and triumphant music played by unseen hands can be heard at these times, for taking part in one of these hunts is seen as a great privilege within Sheol. Before most warbands, the whips of the yoke fiends drive living human slave soldiers of the court known as the Wretched. These unfortunate souls possess not a drop of demon blood and act as a disposable shock troop, or are used as subjects of torture to power the GEOtic magic and the sorcerers and their other users of the dark arts. Captured during one of these hunts of the court, sold to the devils at the heretic domains, or having the misfortune to have foolishly pushed through in the places where the borders of the world are thin, their minds are scarred by witnessing the horror of damnation while still alive. Willing to do anything to escape their fate, a million times worse than death, they grasp at the thinnest of straws. Should a wretch bring down a mighty opponent, the law of hell is clear. The mortal will gain its freedom in memory and honor of the first rebellion, when there is war in heaven and the blood of angels painted the firmament red. The Court and the Great War. When the gate of hell was opened by the ultimate heresy of the Templars, it was the warbands of the court that poured out and took the Levant by storm. Long before the first heretic legion was ever formed, they fell upon the people of the Middle East, Asia, and Europa. They crushed the mortal armies sent against them like fire burning dry chaff. Only at Antioch and at the Iron Wall were they eventually checked, though at a terrible cost. Meanwhile, awed even by the least of hell's servants, countless men and women fell to their knees at the sight of the dark splendor of the court and worshipped them as gods. Those with tricky, wicked hearts were spared, and they became the first heretics. Eventually, their numbers would swell into millions, and now fill the teeming cities and domains under the shadow of the Hell Gate. Being both of the material world and of the world of spirit, the court's foot soldiers can march to make war with earth without a fear of divine retribution, as they do not break the covenant of hell. The court also carefully limits the size of these warbands, so that most of the suffering and dying of the Great War is done by mortals, both to spite the god tyrant Yahweh, but also to enhance their own power as more humans are corrupted and die in the rebellion. The more God's plan is disturbed, the greater the power of the devils waxes. The missions of the court against the faithful do not follow the same logic as one mortal commander might have. A mighty praetor should strike at a militarily insignificant village only to kill a newborn future saint, betray their own mortal followers by suddenly following upon some unsuspecting heretic settlement, or even clash with a warband of a rival head of the Serpent. The wise do not question the motives of hell's rage, and heretics accept these occasional attacks against their forces as a fitting judgment for their lack of success in the war against the faithful. Well, that's not the most metal thing I've written in a while, man. Or read in a while. I don't know what is. Warband creation, you have 700 ducats to recruit your initial force in the campaign. For one-off battles, we suggest a typical force of 900 ducats and 8 glory points. It's probably what we'll be playing with next week. We plan to do 2 different heads of the court. I'm not quite sure which one my brother has chosen, and I haven't read through it enough to pick yet, so hopefully we can come up with something here. You must select which of the 7 deadly sins the warband is dedicated to. Choose either wrath, envy, pride, gluttony, greed, sloth, or lust. I do have a bunch of demonettes of Slanesh, so maybe we go lust. We'll see. The demonic keyword. Due to their infernal origins, no model with the keyword demonic suffers additional blood markers from any attack with the keyword fire. The court armory. So they've got pretty standard weapons. blunderbuss, arquebus, Ophidian rifle. I think that's new. We'll have to check that out. Pistol, shotgun, gas grenades, incendiary grenades. Serpent assault gun. Gonna have to check that out. Flamethrower, heavy flamethrower, and the tormentor chain. Got trench knife, bayonet, trench club, sword or axe, polearm, the great hammer, great sword, torture instrument, or the head taker. I'm assuming that's an axe. Hellblade or the Malebranche sword, Malebranche. Somebody in the comments correct me. Standard armor, reinforced armor, infernal iron armor, or trench shield. Standard helmets. We got the unholy trinkets, unholy relics, the crown of hellfire, and a musical instrument, which I should probably start bringing. So the arquebus is a trench club in melee combat. It's a wheel-lock hunting rifle produced in the infernal forges of the demon Sabnok, the great marquis of war. Made of both infernal and earthly metals and materials, it exists simultaneously in the twisted dimension of hell as well as on earth, a thing that should not be. The shots of this firearm pervert the laws of God, so taking cover from its bullets at great distances aid the user of the infernal rifle instead of hindering the aim. Oh, that is terrifying. The 18-inch range, you can get about halfway across the board. Okay, I like that. The Ophidian rifle, terrifying and enormous hand cannon, contains a portal to the foetid swamps and bogs of the fifth circle of hell. Each bullet it fires is enveloped with its awful gas. So you get +1 to hit enemies in cover. Love to see it. Ranged attacks do not suffer long range or cover penalties, and instead gain +1 bonus +1 bonus dice to hit. Oh, that's disgusting. So you want to be at long range. Serpent gun can make 2 attack actions instead of 1. They can target separate models with each attack as long as all targets are within 6 inches. That's cool. Oh, 6 inches of each other. Also 30-inch range. Nice. Oh, am I reading these out of order? I sure was. The bow of Lethe. This bow is grown by the hunters of the left-hand path out of their own flesh. It can be tipped with a deadly poison made from the blood of the nameless beasts that the hunters stalk in the wastelands of hell, or it can shoot one of the iron bolts of pandemonium that weighs 9 tons on Earth. Pardon me. In shooting the bow, choose 1 effect, add +2 dice to injury rolls, or ignore armor. That is crazy. Tormentor chain, a barbed chain used to bind the damned in hell. The chain possesses a will of its own and can traverse long distances to snare some poor unfortunate soul in its barbed embrace. Oh no. No penalties for range or cover, causes no damage except a blood marker that it causes due to shrapnel. Why, if the wielder hits a target with the weapon, the target is moved into a straight line directly towards the wielder, ending in the legal space that puts it closest to the wielder. This typically ends with the target and the wielder in base contact and in melee combat. This movement can place the target in melee combat with multiple enemy models. Additionally, no enemy models may retreat when in melee combat with the wielder. Torture instrument, great scourges made from living spines, red-hot rods, man-catchers, and all the tools of torment fashioned by the sadistic smiths of the Iron City of Dis. Their main function is not to kill, but to cause as much agonizing pain as possible. Forged in hellfire and quenched in the black waters of the river Styx, the agony their wounds bring lasts for days. Crafted from... so it's roll 1d6 on the injury table instead of 2d6, causes an additional marker for each blood marker that it inflicts in combat. So you double up on the blood markers. That's wild. Two-handed melee. Okay. We have the Hellblade, crafted from iron ore from the mines of Dis in the Inferno. This weapon burns with unquenchable fires as it has been quenched in Thogethon, the burning river of blood, one of the great 5 rivers in hell. Hellblade has a +1 die when rolling for injuries, also has the keyword fire so that it causes an additional +1 blood marker. Okay, maybe not super good for our mirror match, but in general, that is disgusting. We have the Head Taker, said to contain a tiny sliver of the stone that Cain used to murder Abel. This weapon allows its wielder to see clearly each spot in the body of which their enemy that would bring it instant and agonizing death. This makes it a superb ambush weapon, much favored by the hunters of the left-handed path. You roll 3d6, add the results together on the injury table instead of 2 if the target of the attack has not yet moved this turn. Ooh, that's nasty. Let's see, how do we mispronounce this? The Mullabranch sword? Maybe that's right. The forked abyssal swords are both terrible weapons as well as symbols of prestige, given to the demons who have made great deeds in the service of the court of the 7-headed serpent. Nora's evil sword rolls 3d6 on the injury chart in melee, adding the results together. Man, there's a lot of that. I think the Trench Pilgrims have the shrine with the wheel is the only way to do that. The crown of hellfire, this burning crown that is held aloft with pain-seared hands from an invisible damned soul, whose weeping cries can still be heard. It is a reward that an elite member of the court can earn through some extraordinary act in service of the Serpent Head that they are pledged to. Of the slave soldiers of the court, only the pit locusts are allowed to wear this symbol of prestige due to the fundamental role that they played at the start of the Great War. Any enemy that is in melee with this model with the crown of hellfire suffers 1 blood marker as if it were hit by a weapon with the keyword fire. At the end of the activation, the model wearing the crown. So it happens at the end. Any equipment, abilities, etc. that negate fire keyword blood markers also nullify this damage. Okay. So it just gives you a free blood marker if you're in melee. Kind of like that. Infernal armor grants -2 to all injury chart rolls against the model wearing this armor. The armor is effective even against weapons and attacks that would normally ignore armor. Okay, that's huge. Oh, that gives me some ideas for sure. GEOtic powers. Many of the warriors of the court have access to GEOtic spells, abilities, and powers which use the suffering of the mortals as spiritual energy to unleash reality-bending powers of the demons. As God's plan for the universe is disrupted and perverted, the infernal sorcerers and other demonic creatures can use the released primordial energy of creation to alter reality. Demons have to be quick, however. God's omnipotent will soon reasserts over existence, and the opportunity for demons to disturb the world is lost. Thus, the infernal creatures have a continuous and growing need for human sacrifices, pain, and endless warfare to enable their supernatural powers. The GEOtic powers and spells are marked with the keyword GEOtic, where the number of brackets indicates how many blood markers will have to be expended to trigger the effect of the spell. These blood markers can be taken from any model currently taking part in the battle, be they friendly or enemy models, but they must come from models that do not have the keyword demonic or black grail. Blood markers used this way are removed from the game, and as described in the effect of the GEOtic spell or ability, then takes effect as described. No dice roll is needed. As with any other actions, each of these powers and spells can be used by the model only once per activation, and they can be taken during any point of the activation. Let's see. So any version of the Court Warband can take these. Burning Inferno. It's a 1-3 spell. The sorcerer opens a portal into the Lake of Fire and draws forth a great screaming ball of fire. Select a 1 millimeter point within 36 inches that the sorcerer can see. Next, take a ranged attack action if the roll fails, i.e., you roll a 6 or less. The bomb lands 1 inch away from its intended location, multiplied by the number representing the degree of failure. For example, if you rolled a 5, the bombard shot lands 2 inches away. Yada yada. The direction is decided by your opponent. For each blood marker used, the Burning Inferno adds 1 inch blast to the attack. Okay, so you can do up to 3 inches. Additionally, if the Burning Inferno lands directly on top of a model, it ignores that model's armor. This attack has the keyword fire. Is that the only spell we have so far? Perhaps it is. Wrath, Charge of Hatred is 10 ducats. This model's charge move is always the maximum of 12 inches, though it suffers penalties for difficult terrain as standard. Lesser Mark of Cain, an inferior copy of the mark of the god tyrant Yahweh, is placed on the forehead of Cain, the first murderer. All injury rolls against this model suffer -1 dice penalty. Okay, that's pretty clean. Blind Rage, this model adds +1 dice to its dash actions. Wrath might be the way to go. Envious Eyes, this model can be equipped with 1 weapon or suit of armor from Trench Pilgrims, New Antioch, I'm thinking, or Sultanate Warband armories. You must pay the cost of this item as a standard, and if it is lost, it must be purchased again as soon as you have the funds. The model will never willingly trade this item away. Okay. That's kind of nice. Coveted Position. Oh, it's actually a spell. I see. It allows the model using the spell to change positions with any model it sees within 12 inches. This cannot be done with either model engages, or if either model is engaged in melee combat. Okay. Lust, Forbidden Pleasures. 1 model in the warband without the keyword demonic starts the game with 3 blood markers. Okay. Exquisite Pain. This spell allows you to give 1 enemy model +1 blood marker up to a maximum of 3 for each blood marker used to power this spell. Kind of have a feeling that I know what Combat Engineer Tom is going to be up to next week. Oh, it is elite only. Okay, that makes sense. Call of Flesh. Using this spell ends the activation of the model using it. The enemy activates. Wait. Model the enemy activates next this turn must take its move. Oh, okay, I see. Must take its move action at its first action and move as directly towards the user of this power as it can through any passable terrain, including dangerous terrain, jumping down, etc. Taking damage on the way, it can then move and act normally with the rest of its actions, but cannot target the user of this spell during the activation with any action. That is pretty clean. Forces them to move in, and then you get to charge them on the next round. I love it. Pride, Proud Defiance. The warband with this model never has to make morale tests as long as the model is part of the warband. That's pretty nice. Pop that on your general. I Will Not Kneel. 1 cost spell allows the model to negate a down state or ignore an injury attack, or any injury, attack, or power that would have caused the model to fall down. This must be done immediately after when the down result is sustained by the model with the spell. 2 cost power, Light of the Morning Star. Spell hits any enemy the model sees within 24 inches. The target must immediately roll on the injury chart. If it is not taken out of action, the target is pushed back 1d6 directly away from the user of this power. If it is on a 32 millimeter or smaller base. If they hit another model or solid object, they stop. Okay, and we're getting into the good stuff. Okay, the nobles of the court. Each court warband must include either a praetor or a sorcerer when it's created, and it can include both if you wish. You can have up to one praetor. They cost 150 ducats. Praetors are demonic commanders and magistrates within a small corner of a fiefdom of mighty archdevils or demon lords. Each commands small cohorts at their liege's behest, raised from the denizens within the ever-shifting domains of hell. Yoked devils muster at their command, and Hell Knights bound to blind obedience bend their knees to these field commanders of hell. Official artwork was just released. These guys are nasty. I love the teeth. And the trench pilgrim that he's using as a belt. 10-inch flying, +3 to ranged, +3 to melee. That's disgusting. Can be equipped with any weapons, armor, and equipment from the court armory list. GEOtic powers, you can buy up to 2 for the praetor. Demonic vitality makes the praetor very difficult to slay. They are subject to the keyword tough. Strong, the praetors possess supernatural strength and therefore has the keyword strong. And demonic horror, they cause fear. It is disgusting. Sorcerers come in many forms and manipulate their own bodies to better cast the mighty spells that they are charged with. Some have many arms, others have multiple heads, or countless alterations and terrible improvements. Some self-administered, others by force, based on the whims of the Archdevil and their cabal of high sorcerers who lead the GEOtic strategy. Sorcerers' feet do not touch the ground, a distant echo of their angelic past, but instead float across the battlefields of no man's land, chanting the cruel gospel of hell as they advance their dark wisdom and the cunning that makes them equally capable of leading one of the court's warbands, or acting as advisors to a praetor as they stride forth into the mortal realms. Absolutely gnarly. 6-inch move speed, flying, +1 to range, +1 to melee. Sword can be equipped with any melee weapon, armor, or equipment from the court armory list. You can take 3 spells or powers and must buy at least 1. Demonic horror causes fear, and they have the blessing of the Serpent Moon, which I guess is a static power. 1 through 6, you can deduct 1 from any injury roll against the sorcerer per blood marker used. Well, that is gnarly. The Hunter of the Left-Handed Path costs 110 ducats. The Hunters of the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent are the followers of the Left-Hand Path. They stalk the primordial hinterlands of hell where they hunt terrifying beasts and perform vile magics and auguries, using the innards of their still living prey to discern portents and omens. I love the eyes on the inside of the cape. His hand is fashioned into some gnarly looking bow. Absolutely terrifying. The hunter can be equipped with any melee weapons, armor, or equipment from the court armory list. The hunter always carries the bow of Lethe, included in the cost, as its ranged weapon. It cannot swap or lose this weapon, but it always takes the use of one of the arms of the hunter. Okay. Shadow Walker, they have a 1-cost spell. The hunter can retreat from combat without any of its opponents getting a chance to make attacks against it. Left-Handed Path, another GEOtic ability. The hunter can walk the path between hell and creation. As part of its move, it must be charging, dashing, jumping, etc. The hunter can move into contact with any piece of terrain on the board and continue its move from base contact with any other piece of terrain on the board, including on top, inside the terrain if a legal position exists. The hunter can do this multiple times during a move, though it has to pay the blood marker cost for each such jump between terrain pieces. Note that charging with this power requires the hunter to see its target when it declares the charge. The Oracle Beast Cloak. When the hunter has to roll on an injury chart, for example, when it's hit by an enemy ranged or melee attack, it can use a 3-cost spell to negate the hit completely. You may decide to do this after seeing what the result of the injury roll would be. That is gnarly. All right, the Hell Knights, 100 ducats. The silent battalions of hell summoned to serve when the court of the seven-headed serpent seeks sport are composed of Hell Knights. Their ever-burning banners stream as they march to war, carrying out the bidding of their masters. They are the bannerets of the high lords of the court, champions who respond to foolish mortals daring to challenge the hunting parties of the serpent's nobility, who embark on hunting excursions beyond the gate for their own amusement. That's rad. Sure, I have some old school models that will fit the bill just fine. I have 6-inch infantry movement, +0 to range, +2 to melee, -2 armor. The Hell Knights are always equipped with a suit of infernal armor, which is included in its cost. The armor can never be removed. They use the Heretic Legion equipment list. Let's see. Hell Knights ignore the effect of the keyword heavy on any weapon they wield. They do have 1 GEOtic power that allows them to add +1 dice to any injury roll that their melee or ranged attacks cause, and you can also buy 1 additional spell. Oh, that's pretty clean. The War Slaves starts off with the Yoke Fiend, costs 30 ducats. A Yoke Fiend stands some 7 to 8 foot tall, with layers of shivering fat and muscle branded by their masters and carved by the knives of the Hell Priests, to mark them as property of the greater demons. They exhibit bestial features such as horns, and hooves of cattle or goats, ape-like limbs with immensely dense bones. They hate seeing their own reflections, as in their heart of hearts they know the beauty and glory that they have lost for all eternity. Yeah, okay. Absolutely disgusting. 32 millimeter base, 6-inch movement. Can be equipped with any melee, armor, or equipment from the court armory list. When a Yoke Fiend is activated and there's an enemy within 12 inches that it can see, it must attempt to charge against the target unless Black Grail or Demonic. Okay. Yoke Fiend can make 1 melee attack against any friendly model within 1 inch as long... Wait. Torturer. The Yoke Fiend can make 1 melee attack against any friendly model within, I'm guessing within 1 inch, as long as they don't have the keyword demonic. So I guess they can attack your wretches to give blood markers, hopefully not kill them. Your warband may include any number of wretches as long as they are outnumbered by models with the keyword demonic. Okay. These unfortunate souls possess not a drop of demon blood and act as a disposable shock troop, or to be used as subjects of torture to power the GEOtic magic of the sorcerers and the other users of the dark arts. Captured during one of the hunts of the court, sold to the devils at the heretic domains, or having the misfortune to have foolishly pushed through in the places where the borders of the world are thin, their minds are scarred by witnessing the horror of damnation while still alive. Willing to do anything to escape their fate 1,000,000 times worse than death, they grasp at the thinnest of straws. Should a wretch bring down a mighty opponent, the law of hell is clear. The mortal will gain its freedom in memory and honor of the first rebellion, when there was war in heaven and blood of the angels painted the firmament red. Got a 6-inch move, -1 to range, -1 to melee, no armor, tiny base. The wretched can be equipped with any melee weapon, armor, or equipment from the court. None of their weapons, armor, or equipment can cost more than 10 ducats each, and they must be equipped with at least one weapon. The law of hell. If a wretch manages to take out an enemy elite model, it gains its freedom and is immediately removed from the battle. It does not count as a casualty as such, and the maximum war band size is modified. So if you kill an elite, you lose your... I guess they only cost 20 ducats, 30 at maximum. Well, damn it. The pit locusts are terrifying horse-sized winged and armored creatures with twisted faces resembling humans. They fight with rending blades attached to their limbs and with poison stingers. Ooh, it's like a bull mixed with a hornet. Oh, it's awful. 8-inch, flying, of course. +2 to melee, plus nothing to range, -2 to armor. 30 by 60 millimeter base. To check, this might be the right size though. Might end up being my pit locust. It's almost got wings. I think this was a chaos warband chariot. Or the creature that pulled the chariot, rather. So it's got a suit of reinforced armor, which is reflected in its profile above. It can have no other armor, weapons, or equipment except for the crown of hellfire. They do not suffer penalties for fighting unarmed. We've got a swarming attack. When charging, a pit locust can attack twice due to its stinger. Pit locusts offer no penalties for fighting without weapons, nor any offhand weapon penalties for its sting. All attacks by a pit locust have the keyword shrapnel and cause an additional blood marker. Pit locust also causes fear, of course. The Desecrated Saint. The Desecrated Saints are the most prized possessions of the Lords of Hell, men and women who were once destined to become saints, great prophets, or holy ones according to God's plan, but who were led astray and fell from grace. Oh, that is fucking brutal. Do they have wings? Now they have chained wings. 6-inch movement, +3 melee, no ranged ability, -3 on the armor. That is a crap ton of armor. The Desecrated Saint is encased in a nigh impregnable Coetus armor reflected on the profile above. The Desecrated Saint has 3 functional arms. They can carry 3 melee weapons, one of which can be a 2-handed weapon. All of its arms can attack with no penalty in melee. The Desecrated Saint can be equipped with any melee weapons from the court armory list. They are tough. They cause fear. They are strong. And depending on your choice of deadly sin, they have a aura. The aura of envy. All hostile models within 12 inches of the saint will not charge any enemy model that is already engaged in melee combat with one of their allies. The aura of pride. At the end of the activation of the Desecrated Saint, all enemy models within 12 inches suffer a blood marker from the light of the morning star that the saint emits. The aura of wrath. All friendly models within 6 inches of the Desecrated Saint, including the saint, add +1 dice to their melee characteristic and +1 dice to their dash actions. That's kind of nice. The aura of lust. All hostile models within 8 inches of the saint, unless they have the keyword Black Grail, gain no benefit from any armor they wear, as they are naked before the serpent head of lust in the hell dimension that the saint projects all around it. Ooh, so that strips armor. Lust might be the way to go. So that doesn't say if they have demons, it just says Black Grail. So I might have to do that for the mirror match. But I kind of have a feeling that trench engineer Tom here is going to be doing the same thing. So we're just, I think I'm going to go with Lust for our next battle report video here. But it will be my first playthrough with the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent, so hopefully you guys will be able to check that out next weekend. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if I screwed something up here, but I think what I'm going to do is get an army list together, maybe post that in Discord sometime this weekend, along with a link to this video, yada, 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 and we will catch you guys next time. Cheers.